So this feeling that, okay, so we can use that as a path, because we're here on earth, right? This is good. And we have these sufferings, these degrees of sufferings, these ups and downs and all that. We know that kind of roller coaster, exactly what I was talking about before, is like when something's happening and this and that, how well do we use our Dharma practice? Because and then that's, you find maybe that's the only way to even navigate through a suffering, and pains and all that. So it gives us a sense where we then maybe if we can connect to suffering in a certain way, our own suffering, then we can have more compassion for others. If we connect to that suffering in a certain way. And then how does also this kind of the roller coaster of, emotional suffering and things like that, how does that also, bring me more renunciation and not living for this life only. And that's the benefit we have. That's like something, wow, it's so cool. We have that kind of opportunity to reflect on those things and experience firsthand, right? Because suffering is pretty firsthand. It's like, something happens to you. And then, can you imagine? I had no heat for a weekend, and all I could think about it was the people on the border of Belarus, and it's like, got me through the weekend until the heat came on. I don't know. I think maybe they got some more logs in that meditation. I don't know. But, it's like when you have a suffering, it suddenly wakes you up to maybe a suffering you might not have thought about before, even, of somebody, and relate so closely to it. It opens our hearts amazingly. So we're so lucky to have these struggles if it connects us through compassion and renunciation, gives us it's an opportunity to use that Dharma IQ to change it. Because it's changing. Let's go to a degree of suffering is suffering, no change. I think it's good every once in a while to really kind of say how lucky I am. Oh, once a day would be like fantastic. Do you do that once a day? Or lucky or fortunate, or how cool this is, something once a day. Just me, like just yourself. Yeah, then you can take it to other people, think, maybe some way that you've helped somebody or something, How lucky. It goes by fast, So if we I think for me, what'll happen is it has to there has to be, how much, you can't even get past the point. How much every day you really think you can reach enlightenment? What is it, right? And then, can I reach enlightenment? It's kind of like never say never thing. It's just a never say never, even though I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you say, or you don't know when, or blah, 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 whatever story you're telling yourself, right? But it's kind of like, it's important to have this, like, never say never, because, what'll happen is we'll try hard, more sufferings will come. You might think, oh, I failed. And you might have made a few mistakes and stuff like that. Who knows? But there's this time gap of the seeds and the flower. And it's like, come on. And it's, if you don't, if you can't really embrace the time gap, just how many times when you take an action does it really affect the moment? Right there is a proof that there's a time gap. do you affect the moment every time you take an action? No. Sometimes things just don't happen, it seems, right? You go to do it. It doesn't always, what you do, affect the moment. You think it does. So, but there's this, so maybe I can't reach enlightenment. Those kind of thoughts, these kind of doubts, are never going to get you into this yoga. I mean, if you're like, you're not, if there's any of that for too long of a time, right? Because it's going to come in the day. Come on, this never say never. I mean, come on. But if it goes on for a suspended period of time, it'll just, the seeds won't be fertilized. The ones that are there with that knowledge, that Dharma IQ, because you stopped using it because you said, oh, they're not working, man. I'm planting seeds, but it's not working. I'm doing it, but it doesn't work. Why? Well, usually we always say because it's you don't rejoice enough. So that's why we're talking here too, I think, personally, why it comes up in the text, because it kind of puts that emphasis on how important it is to have a moment of saying how lucky I am and why. And that's like watering those seeds to become this wonderful divine, one that we're trying to become. And then to have this discouragement come and pop up, this doubt. I think, because there's so many levels of doubt. Okay. So we know until we see emptiness directly, which doubts we can talk about our levels of doubt, but just the general doubt of our practice here and let's keep it in this idea. I think never should you have to worry if you know the benefit from the results of the teachings, the things that you're studying and the things that you're doing in your practice. If every action you took, if the thoughts that you had, let's not say every, if most of the actions you took, so we get nervous, right? Because dang, there's the mistake right there, right? No, the actions you take, the thoughts you have is working within the knowledge of even just planting seeds. And then, you have to go to emptiness, But if I'm planting the good seeds, then it shall rise as goodness. Even if I don't know when, then I don't have to worry so much. I don't have to be sucked into the doubt, or I don't have to be worrying about making decisions even. Or that's why they say there's no decision to ever make. You trust the results of what you're doing because you know it's a goodness. It's the only ease you will ever have in life. It's for me, the only comfort ever in life is knowing that you did good. So that's rejoicing about how lucky you are, all the goodness that you do. Even if it's a small one, start small, doesn't matter, right? That's why we do it. That's why that practice is such a cool practice, to just sit back and say how lucky I am, and about what. And then that brings us back to some of the luck, because of the blessings we got, the knowledge we received from those, and we want all that blessing from the knowledge and the lineage lamas and all the ones that guide you just melt into you. And then that is we could kick off into becoming something pretty special. But sometimes we do a lot of good and those flowers are popping, but then there are some also popping. So which ones are you going to trust? Sometimes when the bad ones come, the negative things come, we think we didn't do enough, or we think it's impossible. And that's what we're looking, we're looking to the negative seeds we planted. But this life has ups and downs. So, and the obstacles will come easy. The demons will try to stop us, whatever obstacles, but you have everything. You have the opportunity. So it's time to really, what is result? Use the result as the path. Just start really being watchful. Let's stick it to the meditation. Just start being really watchful of what am I doing now and what's that going to bring? Just take a moment. Oh, what is that going to bring? Oh, okay. You know, quick. Not like, that's when you might want to, that's a meditation, that's a lion's dance, that's whatever. But I mean, just knowing that, and then that gets us in that mode of already, then we can start using the result as a path. And we're talking about saying, well, I am that. I am her. I am him. I am that. I have a divine body, an enlightened mind with holy thoughts and bliss, and surrounded by the presence of extraordinary beings to help us. It's like this kind of divine pride in our minds can take us the ultimate goal. Result is the path. But in order to get to that, I mean, I think we have to see what we're doing and what it would look like. Also, what we're thinking, what does that look like in the result? Because if I'm going to use the result, I have to have a relationship with this kind. I have to be able to move within cause and result, dependent origination and emptiness as well. You have to move your mind to if we're going to use like normal events, like events of suffering as a path, to have divine body, divine mind, then when we're watchful of what we're doing, we're talking about normal events of suffering. So we're kind of looking at, if I'm doing this, it's going to bring this suffering, or it's going to bring this pleasant experience. Then you might wonder, if I saw the experience differently, then maybe I'm also going to see a different result. Huh? When you're looking at being watchful of what we're doing. And then on the other hand, it's like, in order to use these suffering things, we have to focus not only on the seeds, we have to focus on, as I mentioned just briefly, is like purifying. So important, because that happens all along the way, because you're so watchful, you're going to suddenly say, and that again, you're going to get discouraged. So the purification kind of, you got to work with that. It's not going to be, until you stop